Hello there. Welcome to another episode of African History, Past, Present, and Thought. I'm going to lecture today on Carthage Defined. I'll be speaking about Hannibal, and I'll also be lecturing on Carthage at the same time. Thank you there. Carthage Defined. The city of Carthage was founded in what is now Tusaka, which is in North Africa, in 814 BC by the Phoenicians, an African people, who is also where the word term Phoenicians come from. The Romans called these people Punics. Punic, this was where the term Punic War came from. They were fighting Africans for power and trade into the Mediterranean. The Phoenicians also founded other cities before Carthage, but Carthage probably grew due to it was located on the Mediterranean Sea as a seafaring nation and crossroads with other nations. Carthage was a powerful nation and forced their rule on other nations like Lepus Major, Lepus Minor, Hippo, Zacchaeus, and Dodum were forced to take down the walls. The only exception was the city of Utica, which was founded 300 years before Carthage, and equally powerful, was allowed to remain a walled city. Utica was also granted equal rights, as it was a city to be recognized as powerful. The Phoenicians, who were black people, also had colonies in Spain, Sicily, Sardinia. Carthage also had colonies as far away as Betra Islands in the Mediterranean Sea. The Bertrand Islands are located not far from Spain. Carthage also found settlements near present-day Libya and present-day Algiers. Carthage also built settlements in the present-day Morocco, Mauritania, Senegal, Guinea, Madrid, and Canary Islands. Also, the Carthage Empire was extremely large. The surplus population was forced out of Carthage to find new settlements. But over a period of time, these native Carthaginians mixed with the native Africans and lost their original identity. Libyans, Phoenicians, Carthage, its empire was ruled by three entities: king, senate, and assembly. All the offices were held by aristocracy, which was determined by wealth, not birth. The king's power was mainly judicial in nature, meaning they formulated the laws and interpreted them. They were elected yearly to preside over the Senate and control civil administration. Carthage law allowed for unlimited re-elections. The Senate consists of 300 aristocracies, with a permanent in the council of 30, which elected the Navy and the Army commanders, who could be removed if they did not fight well in battle and with great efficiency. The inner council of 30 members was replaced by 104 members called the Hundreds, which maintained law and order. They also had the power to call into account the military commanders. The Power Committee, called the Hundreds, this committee would have many military commanders crucified if they did not win, if they failed in battle. So I guess you should win. The Hundreds also controlled the Senate and eventually became tyrannical in nature and met secretly at night. The Hundreds was elected on a yearly basis, but it was always the same beings being elected. Assembly consists of citizens who own a certain amount of property. This assembly had the power to elect the Sifits, or judges, but has little power in other matters of the state, even on local matters. During Carthage's early years, it had only a citizen defense force, and it was called upon when it was needed and then disbanded. There were also a set called the Sacred Band, elite cavalry corps, which trained other sections of the military. Other Phoenician cities was not allowed to have military installations in the city. They were totally dependent on Carthage for protection. Carthage basically extracted soldiers from vassal states and the allies and hired mercenaries and paid for these soldiers. Carthage exacted tribute from African colonies that I spoke about earlier. Example, Tunis, Morocco, Mauritania, Libya, and other paid them to live on the land, even the tribal people that lived there. They also received tribute enriched from silver mines in Spain and Corsica to help support the military. Some parts of the Carthage Empire, especially southern part of Spain, supplied troops for the military. The land that the Carthage built the state on originally belonged to Libyans, who were also black, but they was reduced to slavery for a while, and then elevated to a status of tribute, or free cultivators, and had to yield 1/4 of the produce and men to the Carthage courts and the army. And in 252 BC, it was described all Libyans who was black by Publius, who was a Roman historian and aristocrat of that time. To Sicily, the most Libyans and formed the core of the infantry and cavalry. The barracks in the wall of Carthage could house 24,000 troops, 4,000 horses, 300 elephants at any given time. Carthage was protected by walls on all sides, equal in length and breadth. The walls were 15 feet high by 10 feet wide, with 4-story towers at every 60 meters. The Carthaginian army during the Second Punic War consists of Libyans, Phoenicians, native Libyans, Nubians, Moors, Iberians, Celts, Iberians, Baltic Islanders, Ligurians, Celts from the Alps, who were half Greeks, who were mainly deserters and were runaway slaves. Hannibal's had the ability to fuse all these different ethnic groups and into different fighting styles into a uniform force against Rome. At the start of the Second Punic War against Carthage, there was about 1 million residents residing there. Each native group fought in its own way, with Carthaginian arms. Also, success depended on the general's ability to hold these forces together and use them in a most effective way. The First Punic War, the native Carthaginians are described as splendidly armed, with iron breastplates, brazen helmets, bearing white shields that covered most of their bodies, and marched in a slow and orderly fashion. This would suggest a phalanx formation. A phalanx formation is a tightly group of marching men that is hard to penetrate. It is used to crush the enemies by its sheer number. They're also supported by 4-horse chariots, inventions contributed by the blacks. In the First Punic War, The Carthaginians were defeated twice by Consul Regulus in Africa and fought in a phalanx formation in the manner of the Greek formation and weaponry, metal helmets, greaves to protect the legs, linen corselets, metal plates for the front rank men, round shields in diameter about 3 feet, two-handed spikes between 5 and 7 meters long, and short swords. During this period of the beginning of the First Punic War, Satrapus and Spartan adventurer came to Carthage with a band of Greek mercenaries. His criticism of the Carthaginian army came to the attention of the hundreds who were the people of power who set policy. The hundreds placed Satrapus as the commander, and he reorganized it in the Greek style of the army combat and drilled his men to a high degree. Satrapus placed some men in phalanx, 4,000 men, 256 each, 16 men deep. There was also Spanish and native Libyans included. Zatek's phalanx. After the Third Punic War, Carthage was considered poor in wealth and manpower and was forced to open the armories to hand over 200,000 pieces of armed equipment to the Romans, in which no doubt they gave that to their allies in time of battle. Satrapus also changed his tactics too, placing 400 elephants in the front of the line to break up the legions and position them, cavalry and light troops on the flanks, with heavy infantry phalanx crossing the battlefield. The phalanx was on the left, concealed by the cavalry, shattered the elephants and the outflanks on both sides. The Roman army at Tunicus was destroyed at this specific time. They lost 15,000 men out of 20,000. The African army continued to fight in this manner. Now, at the Battle of Tersamenti, 217 BC, when he incorporated Roman weapons and equipment, he also changed and gave his heavy infantry Roman weapons and also incorporated the best of Roman tactics and training. Hannibal used these tactics with small moderation in the defeat of the Romans at Cannae. Hannibal also changed the throwing of missiles, what they call missiles, we call spears, to the pilon. The Roman pilon, this spear was made that the point was soft metal and the medium back was heavy. So when you threw the spear, it bent in the target from the weight in the back, and it was hard to use to fight with. So you had to throw this away or use it to fight with, which was very hard. It was very hard if you have a weapon and you have something sticking outside. It's hard for you to defend yourself, so you had to throw it away or fight with that. Now, the African infantry with Hannibal is constantly being reduced in battle, and he was no reinforcements for 15 to 20 years in Italy, depending on your sources of information. Hannibal took different styles of battle and formulated them into an affordable fighting machine. Example, Hannibal took bowmen from Crete, also fighting troops from Libya. Celts also filled the ranks of Hannibal's army. He also had Moorish soldiers, Italian soldiers, Greeks, Africans. From the interior, he also adopted tactics and strategies, and also chariots, not to mention elephants. And wide baskets that were called tourniquets Now the tourniquet is what now in these modern days they would be on the tank, which shoots the bullets out. But in them days, the tourniquet was what they put was a large basket of what you put, what would be 25, maybe 20, 25 soldiers. And these soldiers would look down from this high position of these elephants and shoot the enemy, what gave them a vantage point. Some of these tourniquets was able to hold 25 men with spears and arrows and bows. The Nubians who was black of North Africa were born horsemen, starting riding at an early age. They used no bit, no bridle, only a strap braided rope and a harness and voice command, and a stick to guide the horses in the way they wanted them to go. These horses were small and sturdy and very agile and fast. These Nubian horses did not wear a lot in battle. They were protected by a small shield in battle. They were also armed with light spears, javelins, a secondary weapon, and a knife in their belt, and a knife in the belts. The Nubians were agile horsemen. They could strike an enemy fast and retreat before the enemy could respond. They were very good at using cover, ambush, and surprise attacks. The Romans had no method of dealing with the Nubians like horsemen. Africa's Sipicos' greatest victories when Mussolini traded sides with him. Now, Mussolini and Hannibal were great friends at one time, but over parts of years they changed due to a woman. But that's another story. It's considered one of the greatest love stories behind Cleopatra's. So sometime I will be lecturing on Hannibal and Mussolini and Zenobia. Now, Mussolini gave them the edge. His father was Seiklax, who was king of the Maslayer tribe. Seiklax was trying to unite all the black tribes into a single nation. So he broke negotiations with Carthage and opened negotiations with Scipio, commander of the Roman army. Scipio sent a centurion force to train Cyprus men, 6,000 Nubians, infantry, 4,000 cavalry. Now this was in 214 BC. Like I said, I will talk about that love affair of Zenobia later. Now Hannibal had a lot of Celts and upper and middle class. This was a warrior class, respectable, and they lived for warfare. They were fierce, proud, undisciplined, and excellent swordsmen, and preferably like to charge straight at the enemy, preferably charging down his slope and defeating him man to man in a sword fight. The Celts warriors was a large part of Hannibal's army. The Celts, large part of Hannibal's army, the Celt sword was a primary fighting weapon. Okay? The Celts warriors were a large part of Hannibal's army. The Celt sword was a primary fighting weapon, long with double edge and a round point. This sword was a two-handed sword. It was used in slashing and swinging from side to side or hurling it around one's head and bringing it down like an axe upon the enemy. Its length of fighting required space. The Celts were white people, but they fought under the banner of Hannibal. The Celts warriors fought independently, as individually lying manly on the ability of defense and edgeability. It was this type of fighting that struck fear in opponents. Hannibal used the Celts mainly as a softened up force to break up the Roman ranks, before sending in his main prime force, the Nubian infantry. Celts, despite heavy losses, accepted the position they lost many men and considered this a position of honor. The silk shields was usually oval, sometimes round and rectangular, made out of plank, oaks, coated with hide and felt, and binding around the edge with metal. The shields weighed 6.5 tons, that's 6.5 kilos, that's 15 pounds. The Sioux warriors did not use the spear as a main fighting tool. The Sioux cavalryman was armed and equipped with poniards, except the infantry, carried around round shields. At the beginning of the year, two councils who ran the government, their most important job was to set up the tributary, who in turn would distribute to the generals. What I got here? Because someone went away. I guess we could edit that out, huh? The most important jobs was to set up the tributary. In turn, would determine the generals in the army's 24 tributary sets. Roman citizens between the age of 17 and 46 had to report to a place called Capitine Hill, where they were arranged by height and examined according to their physical conditions. The best conditioned men was usually taken by the tributes. Tributes are aristocrats that run the country and appointed the military. Men over 47 to 60 years old served as garrison troops and rescuers. They further divided up into 4 classes, according to age, experience, maturity, soldiers, turbulence, and principals. The Roman army had the men in Metropolis, which had between 140 men to 160 men in them. The Hashid formed the first line of defense. The principal formed the second line of defense. The Hashid had 2 spears that they called a pinion. This spear bent into the enemy's shield. The second line of defense, also armed with swords and shields, and the pinion. At this specific time, I'm going to go into some more information about Carthage. I'm going to give some important dates and battles. Give me a second here, that's exactly what I will be doing. Okay. These are some important dates that's in the Carthaginian history. 256 BC, the first war between Rome and Carthage over control over Sicily. This war, Carthage control of Sicily, Rome, and seized it. 262 BC, seized in battle of Aetrulian, which gave Rome control over most part of Sicily. 260 BC, the Battle of Leprid. The Roman naval squadron was defeated by the Carthaginians. Also in this time period, the Romans had a decisive naval battle in this battle of melee, using new warfare methods. 256 BC, the Battle of Caetonius. This was a decisive naval battle for the Romans. This is also one of the early invasions of Africa by European armies. 256 BC. Also in this year, 250 BC, the Battle of Alet. The Carthaginians are defeated by the Roman army. In this battle, the Carthaginians sued for peace, but the terms were too severe, so the Carthaginians returned to war. 255 BC, in the Battle of Tombs, the Roman army is defeated. Also, a large number of Roman vessels was lost at sea due to a storm after the Carthaginians returned to reconquer Sicily in great numbers. 251 BC, in the Battle of Pomius, the Romans scored a victory. Sicily was given to Rome. 249 BC, the Battle of Defined, also known as Tipes, is the final defeat for the Romans on land and sea. Their attack on Sicily failed. Also, the Romans lost a lot of ships due to a storm. 247 BC, 242 BC, Hannibal Barca, Hannibal's father, repulsed all efforts by Rome to retake Sicily. Now, this effort took 5 years. So I told you 247 BC, 242 BC. It took them 5 years to do this. 242 BC, the Carthage stronghold at Libya and Yucatan in Sicily fall to the Rome. 241 BC, the Battle of Aegean Islands, the Carthage defeated and sued for peace, even Sicily. At this specific time, I'm planning to end this and give credit to the people who have helped me with this show here. My director, Bernard Carl, my other director, Angel, my other director, and the people that helped me with my show. So I thank you because I will be giving more information. This information will help you understand more in depth. So as time goes on, I will be elaborating on more and more. That's why I call this Carthage Defined. Not just that he crossed the Alps. He done more things than cross the Alps. So these things I also want to let people know. Besides crossing the Alps, you also cross the Apennines. So this information I'll be letting other people know. And when I get a chance, I'm going to really get into y'all about the love story of Mussolini and Zenobia. As I stated before, it's supposed to be the second greatest love story there is in the world. I guess that's what they would say, a man's love for a woman, even in a time of war. Thank you. African history, past, present, and thought.